A school janitor admits to doing disgusting things with food that children were going to eat. And that's not all Giovanni Impellizzeri has admitted to. I'll detail the disturbing case out of New Jersey. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. I'm just going to tell you right now, after hearing this, you are probably never going to let your child, if you have one, eat school lunch again. After reading all of the court documents, I'm really glad that I pack my son's lunch every day. Giovanni Impellizzeri, he's in big trouble in Cumberland County, New Jersey. He was a janitor at Elizabeth F. Moore Elementary School in 2023 when school officials started receiving anonymous tips that Impellizzeri was posting things on Telegram, specifically videos that were disturbing to say the very least. At the time, a court document stated, the reporting party stated that while on Telegram group thread, he observed Giovanni Impellizzeri texting and posting videos of himself at what appeared to be a school setting, performing sexual acts with items from the school, as well as doing things that would endanger the well-being of the students at the school. Can you believe that? The school janitor performing sex acts with items from the school at the school. And it gets worse. New Jersey State Police said that Giovanni Impellizzeri was taking utensils and other items from the school and wiping his private parts with those items and then putting them back. And again, it gets worse. The complaint goes on to say, Giovanni Impellizzeri was seen masturbating and urinating on pillows and kitchen bowls. Videos showed Giovanni Impellizzeri spraying bleach into a container of cucumbers that was later served to children at the school with the intention of harming the students. This is beyond disturbing. And police said there were videos that showed Impellizzeri wiping his private parts, all of them, with several pieces of bread and then putting them back in the container. And that bread would later be served to children at the school. This was in October of 2023. The prosecutor charged Giovanni Impellizzeri with a number of crimes, including aggravated assault, tampering with a food product, endangering the welfare of children, and official misconduct as a public servant. Now, this is a school janitor. He's supposed to be cleaning the school, mopping floors, cleaning bathrooms, and likely cleaning the kitchen and school cafeteria. Instead, the prosecutor said Impellizzeri was pouring bleach on cucumbers and doing disgusting things with bread. These are things that kids would eat. In addition to the charges I already mentioned, the prosecutor said police found child pornography on Impellizzeri's phone. He wasn't accused of manufacturing it, but he was charged with possessing and distributing it. It's been well over a year since Impellizzeri was charged, and now he has pleaded guilty to the official misconduct as a public servant charge and possessing child sex abuse materials. The total sentence the prosecutor will recommend will be 8 years, but Impellizzeri will be eligible for parole after serving 5, and the prosecutor will ask that he be under parole supervision for the rest of his life. Giovanni Impellizzeri had admitted to some really disgusting things. He's the perfect person to search on truthfinder.com to see if anything comes up. Truthfinder, of course, is one of the largest public records search services out there. I searched for Giovanni, and his charges in New Jersey for this incident at the school showed up immediately in the criminal and traffic search results, and they'll be there from now on. Truthfinder is really great because it will show you where a person has lived, their phone numbers, possible relatives, and their social media accounts. And one thing that I really love about it, it will show you the names of sex offenders who live in your neighborhood. Right now, I've got a great deal for you. You can get 50% off of confidential background reports. Just log on to www.truthfinder.com/LCCrimeFix. Log on and start accessing information about almost anyone. I want to bring in Dr. J.P. Garrison. He's a forensic psychologist. You probably know him better, though, as Dr. G on YouTube. So, Dr. G, Giovanni Impellizzeri, he has pleaded guilty to some really creepy stuff. I mean, sex acts with food that was being served to kids at a school, at an elementary school. I mean, not only did he plead guilty to doing this, but to videotaping it and posting it on Telegram. That's where they got a lot of this evidence. So, my God, just the thought as a mom of my kid going to school and maybe getting school lunch when somebody had rubbed bread on their private parts and then put it back in the bag. I just can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's disgusting in a way that's hard to even wrap your mind around that somebody would do this. But unfortunately, there's some pretty sick folks out there.
What motivates this type of thing? I mean, he's accused of, or well, he's pleaded guilty to it now. He's admitted to doing it. It was on video. What motivates somebody to do something like this? Obviously, there's something not right up here. And then he also, they said, sprayed bleach into a container of cucumbers that the children were going to eat.
So there's really two things. One is anger. So acts like this, even though there is a sexual component clearly for him, anger is what motivates it. It's about control. It's about the idea of inflicting control on others, even whether they ever find out about it or not. Then the other part of it is this, we call it a paraphilia. So it's a sexual excitement about something that's truly non-sexual. So it's a combination of anger and paraphilia together. That can be a really dangerous combination, clearly.
What kind of paraphilia? I mean, obviously, I mean, you're a forensic psychologist and you have not examined him.
Right.
So, I don't want you to diagnose him per se, but what kind of paraphilia are we talking about here, right? What could it be?
Well, that's a good question. Probably the idea of contaminating other people, or the idea of having that type of control of other people is sexually exciting for him. We see this in sexual assault as well. It's not about sex, it's about control. So truly, even though he associates sexual feelings with this, it's really about control.
I mean, these kids could have been really sickened by what he did. I mean, depending upon, the concentration of the bleach, depending on the cleanliness of his body parts, I guess. I mean, my mind goes wild thinking about what these kids could have happened. And this is just what we know about. This is what was on video. Right. We don't know if there were other things that went on.
So it's sadistic. So in other words, sadism is enjoying the pain and suffering of others. And so this may be somebody who literally enjoys that. Most of us are shocked and revolted when we see somebody else in pain. We want to help heal that pain. For somebody like this, the connection of wanting to help when they see someone in pain, they may not be wired correctly. So they may feel excited, happy, sexual. There could be all sorts of feelings that come when they see somebody suffering. So sadism truly is one of those types of psychological issues that it's very, very difficult to change. And it's one that universally is not good. I mean, I work with a lot of couples as well. And when I talk to them, if somebody's sadistic, then that's a really, really bad indicator for relationships.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Because as you said, they enjoy inflicting pain upon people. This investigation starts with the food, the food and him rubbing the food on his private parts and putting it back into the school cafeteria where kids are going to, this food's going to be served to kids, and then spraying the bleach on the cucumbers and all of this stuff. And then as the investigation unfolds, they find out that he is in possession of and has distributed child pornography. So there's another aspect of this involving children. So we have this added layer to it. So what does that tell you? The whole thing, I mean, this whole thing involves children.
It's an added layer, but not a surprising one. When somebody wants to harm someone who's vulnerable, like children or someone who's disabled or those types of things, we're talking about somebody who has no capacity for empathy. The desire to harm someone who is vulnerable is so despicable. So the idea that he not only did this, but that he also had sexual abuse material is not shocking. It doesn't seem like much of a stretch to go from what he was doing to having that type of material. So it really is all pretty much in the same bucket, so to speak, as far as those behaviors go.
So he's going to go to prison. I mean, there's there's a sentence that he will get, that he's reached he's pleaded guilty. He will be sentenced in March. He will go to prison, but he's going to get out of prison someday. So how do you make him better? I mean, how do you make him be able to, once he gets out of prison someday, how do you make him be able to rejoin society and not, I mean, I'm trying to think about how you stop somebody from not doing this again, from reoffending.
You just have to have a lot of guardrails. You got to make sure that everybody around them is safe, or to protect other people from being exposed to someone like this, because issues like this are extremely treatment resistant. That doesn't mean you can't help them, but they are very, very resistant to treatment. It's unlikely the treatment is going to work completely. It's unlikely that somebody like that truly can be trusted in any situation where somebody's vulnerable, or where they have access to anything like food, or anything where somebody could somehow be exposed to the types of issues that he's shown in the past. So really, more so than treating him, it's protecting everybody else from him, honestly.
And he has to want to change.
Absolutely. And part of the challenge with folks like this is they don't have the insight to understand their own behavior anyway. So there's no motivation to change. It's too exciting for them to do these things. So secretly, they just want to get away with it. They don't really want to change it. And therein lies part of the problem.
You know, it's interesting to me that he would want to get away with it when he's posting the video on Telegram. I mean, Telegram is one of those things where, I mean, people are going to see it.
Well, fortunately, a lot of folks like this believe that they are a lot smarter than they actually are, or believe they can get away with things. And they just think that they can outmaneuver everybody else, and they overestimate their ability to do that, fortunately, because it helps us catch folks like this. But he probably just underestimated how much access law enforcement would have to his Telegram account, or whatever it is that he thought he could post it to.
You know, he's a relatively young guy, and it kind of makes me wonder, you know, how did he get this way? I mean, how did he end up this way? What was going on, you know, back in his life, where this is what he does? I mean, that he gets some type of gratification out of doing this.
That's a great question, because most of our brains have guardrails in place that prevent us from feeling sexual thoughts or feeling sexual feelings about things that you're not supposed to. So clearly there is something, well, not clearly, I shouldn't say, but I guess I would think something's organically wrong. In other words, part of it has to be wiring. Part of it has to just be how his brain developed. I don't think experiences would lead most anybody to actually enjoy doing these kinds of things. So it's a combination maybe of some experiences he had, but a lot of it's probably the neurological structure of his brain.
Yeah, and that kind of makes you wonder, I mean, what goes on? I mean, when you're talking about neurological structure of the brain, we're talking about something that goes on, you know, I guess, you know, while you're developing in the womb, I guess, you know, however you are developing.
Yeah, a lot of these issues we believe to be genetic. So it's whether it's inherited or whether it's something that was in utero, whatever it is, we do think that people can be hardwired for this. That doesn't mean that it always expresses itself like this with people, but to have the capacity for that degree of sadism and that lack of empathy, there has to be more than just trauma or life experiences that would lead to that.
Well, just my mind, I can't imagine somebody's mind going there to grabbing food, doing what he did, and then putting it back somewhere for children to eat. I mean, obviously, it sounds like he wanted to hurt kids. And he got a job as a janitor in a school with access to being able to do that. So that's the scary part to me as well.
Right. And not only did he want to hurt them, it was exciting to him, and so exciting to him that it seems like he had a sexual connection with all of this. So this is really profoundly disturbing. And fortunately, there's really not a lot of people out there that have this degree of disturbing fantasies, thoughts, and behaviors. They exist, but they're fortunately few and far between.
Yeah, let's hope that there aren't that many of them out there, and that they aren't working in schools with access to children. I mean,
Right.
Thank goodness, you know, he was a janitor. He has access to the cafeteria, but thank goodness he didn't have other access to the kids, or closer access.
Right.
Dr. G, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next time.